Okay.
Morning all. As I won't be at the game today, but we'll be at the game tomorrow, I just wanted to give the boys a little reminder of the formation we're going to start with, how we're going to do kickoffs, goal kicks, and then we've also been working on a short corner routine. So we're going to start with the one goalkeeper, the three defenders, the right, the middle, and the left, the two centre midfielders, and the striker. So if we have the ball going forward, then the full-backs push on, one of the centre midfielders goes up and join the striker, centre defenders high, and the goalkeeper's high as well. So I don't want to see, and the boys did a good job in the fall, I want to see the goalkeeper back there if the game is all the way up the other end of the field. The goalkeeper wants to be high. The reason for that is if the ball ends up with one of the defenders and their midfielders are pressing and we can't go backwards to our own players, outfield players, we can go back to the goalkeeper who's a little bit closer to the play rather than having to go all the way back to our own goal. So that's the first setup. For kickoffs, what I've been asking the boys to do, rather than traditionally having the striker take it, I'm asking the striker to pick a side to the right or left of the centre circle. So if they decide to go there, one of the centre midfielder takes it and it plays the pass to the other centre midfielder. Now if the striker goes to the right full-back goes high. So the idea is that when the ball goes backwards, we want to try and play this direction because we have more players on this side of the field. Now, as we kind of discussed at training on the other day, if the other team are set up on this side and this left back is wide open, then the boys obviously have the luxury of deciding, well, that's not the best option to play there. That's the best option because he's wide open and available. So centre midfielder taking it to the other centre midfielder and the striker's picking a side. 2 and 3, the fullbacks nice and high. Centre midfielder that's receiving the balls just outside the centre circle. Centre mid back is high and the goalkeeper is almost on the edge of the box. For goal kicks, which we worked on in the fall, the outside defenders will end up dropping inside the box. The two centre midfielders will split. The centre back is on the edge of the box and the striker is high. So we have a diamond in front of the box. Now, if the other team set up with 3 midfielders high and the striker, our centre back deals with the striker. If they're playing a couple of midfielders as well, the midfielders have to make sure that they're in front of their guys to start with. So the aim of the game would be, if the ball is played to this fullback, he has to take his touch out wide. So if that player is then a little bit closer to the middle of the field, this player now really wants to try and play away from the goal. So with the midfielder, centre midfield starting position being central, they have to move out so we can play around the other team. Now this player then, rather than playing back through there, can play down the outside for the striker to run onto it. So we always want to try and play away from our goal with our first touch. If we can't play away from goal and keep going down the outside of the field and we need to go inside, well, that's fine as well. But the first touch for these players is not back across their own goal, it's away from their own goal. Now, what we worked on in training the other day was a little short corner. So if I take the defenders off the field a minute. It doesn't really matter who's taking the corner. So say I have one of the centre midfielders taking the corner. What the boys were doing in training is where they were all coming over to where the ball was. But that now means nobody is facing the goal. So what I've asked the boys to do is position themselves so they can face the goal. So if the ball's going to come in with a long ball, everyone's facing the target of the goal. Now, one thing we worked on was a short corner. So at Woodland, when we play on Sunday, the field isn't that big. So the boys do have a better chance of getting the ball in the box with a direct, longer pass. If that's not an option and we need to play short because the field is a little bit too wide, what I've asked this player to do is put one hand up in the air. The nearest guy is going to come towards the player with the ball for a short pass. Now, because this player taking it can see what these guys are doing, if the defender doesn't follow, the player can receive the ball and turn themselves to get a shot off or a cross. If the player receiving the ball is tightly marked with the guy that follows him out, what he can say is a 1-2. He bounces it back. This guy now comes backwards so that we can see the game, or you can see the goal. Now this player now can decide to take it in, or they can decide to play the pass back to this number 9, depending on what this guy does. So this guy follows the player that came out. This guy can take it in and then cross the ball. If this guy decides to press the ball, he can play it back to this guy, who's then shooting. So that's the formation, the kickoff, the goal kick, and that short corner routine. So hopefully the boys are looking forward to the game. I'm sure they'll do great, and I'll be looking forward to updates on my lovely 3-hour drive to Rantoul. So best of luck, and I'll see the boys on Sunday.